The best dinosaurs from A to B are under our belt. Huh, that's not actually a lot. No matter, we'll remedy that shortly. Let's collaborate, you and me, to cover the top dinosaurs that contain, or rather start, with the letter C. 61 dinosaurs wish to be the cream, but only 5 will rise to the top.
This is Best Dinosaurs to start with the letter C. First up here at number 5, we have City Patty. Its name means Lord of the Funeral Pyre. Very fun. That name actually comes from Tibetan Buddhist folklore. It's a deity. Now, it is an oviraptid, so related to Oviraptor. It was discovered in Asia in the late Cretaceous. It's one of the larger of oviraptids, 2.9 meters long. Here's one representation of it. It has a rather short and airspace skull, and it has many well-preserved specimens, especially two of them nicknamed Big Mama and Big Auntie, and they were found brooding over eggs. Some of these, like for example, in this Norrell et al., and there's actually even fossilized embryos. And so this really helped show that oviraptids took good care of their eggs, and so the initial naming of this group of dinosaurs, egg thieves, was actually probably misplaced. That they weren't stealing eggs; they were actually their own eggs that they were brooding over. And this City Patty, based on some of its anatomy and I think paleo environment, it actually might have been an herbivore, at least an omnivore. So that City Patty is voted most likely to lose its match and lighter privileges. Mr. Lord of the Funeral Pyre, or Lady. Coming in at number 4, we have Cryolophosaurus. Its name means frozen crested lizard. It is a theropod. It's really unclear the exact description, more taxonomically precise. There's some who think it might be more of a Tenuran or an abelosaurid or even a ceratosaur or allosaurid. And this was discovered in Antarctica. So we got a little picture here, modest sized. Even got a little penguin for comparison. And it was the first Antarctic carnivore discovered, and then second Antarctic overall. And so it's fairly good size, 6.5 meters. Given that this was in the early Jurassic, it was one of the largest carnivores at the time, especially in its environment. And it had what was called this very distinctive sort of pompadour style crest. In fact, that it's so distinctive, its nickname by some is actually Elvasaurus. And like I said, it's one of the top predators in the environment in the Antarctic when it was not nearly as cold. And one of the reasons why it's hard to kind of tell how it was related to other theropods, it has a mix of primitive and advanced features, like very sort of early legs, but like a later, more developed skull. Sort of hard to exactly place. And it's not sure what the crest was for. I mean, some of the commonplace ideas are it was recognition display among members. But whatever the crest was for, it was certainly voted most likely to consider Blue Hawaii as the best Elvis film. Middling out here at number 3, we have Concavenator. It means hunter with a hump, and it is very obvious why this was named. It has this hump here. Here's a skeleton reconstruction. You can see it in more detail, and here is a artist representation. This is actually from Sanford Ortega, Escaso, and Sands. So it is a Carcharodontosaurin, discovered in Spain It's an early Cretaceous theropod. It's a little smaller than our Carnotaurus, 5.8 meters long, and of course, the big sort of crest of bone here with a possible hump is its most notable feature. It also might have had quills on its arms. You can kind of see it a little bit here. And it is a quite primitive member of the Carcharodontosaurians. And the extremely tall vertebrae here, that is its namesake, might have served the same sort of purpose of something like a Cryolophosaurus head crest with distinguishment and recognition between species. It must have also been a thermoregulator, something like a mini sail we see in some other dinosaurs. In any case, concavenator is voted most likely to pull a shark fin prank at the public pool with that hump. Getting close to the end here, speaking of Carcharodontosaurids, we have the Epitomous Carcharodontosaurus itself. Its name means shark-toothed lizard, and more precisely, great white shark-toothed lizard. It is unsurprisingly, a Carcharodontosauran. Yes, I'm going to have to say that a few more times to get it down. It is discovered in North Africa. This is a very big theropod, late Cretaceous. It's between 12 and 13 meters long. We got the jaw here from Brissett and Serrano. You can see the teeth. And it is certainly an apex African predator. And one of the reasons it was named, it was after the similarity of its teeth to the actual great white shark. Now, the original fossils that this was discovered with were destroyed in World War II, but since then we've discovered other ones, including two actual species, Saharicus and Iguadensis. And if you think this looks sort of like Tyrannosaurus rex, you'd be correct in the sense that it is one of the largest and heaviest carnivores. It had huge jaws, and really it was the African equivalent of Tyrannosaurus rex in its environment. And with that, it is certainly most likely to challenge the T-Rex to a showdown. Okay, before our final dinosaur today, we have some honorable mentions. First, we have Conchoraptor, which name means conch thief, another oviraptid. And then Corythosaurus, which means helmet lizard, a hadrosaur, has a very notable crest here. Both are pretty interesting, but didn't quite make the top 5. Then also venerable mentions, well-known dinosaurs that I didn't think met the top 5, but I should also mention. We have Coleophysis, an early dinosaur, one of the earliest theropods, it means hollow form. And then we have Compsognathus, which is a very small theropod, which means delicate jaw. And compies, as they're sometimes called, they're always a little ones running around and causing trouble in like the Jurassic Park movies. All right, number 1, we have Carnotaurus. This name means meat-eating bull, and this is the most representative species of the Avisaurids. This was discovered in Argentina and actually just a single but very well preserved skeleton. It was late Cretaceous theropod, 7.9 to 8 meters long, so decent sized. And the preservation of the skeleton was actually so good that it actually even things like skin impressions showing scales and bumps, but no evidence of feathers. So while a lot of other dinosaurs have feathers, especially smaller theropods, this one did not appear to. And now it is, like I said, an abasaurid. Those are short-snouted theropods from South America. This is a fairly lightly built dinosaur, theropod. It had pretty thick limbs of legs and very, very small forelimbs. If you see this, they almost look vestigial, essentially. Looks like in this picture, you can't even see them because they don't really stick out. Now, of course, the biggest thing other than tiny limbs is the large horns on this, where its name comes from. You can see some here. Very sort of thick horns. And there's a lot of hypothesized reasons it had such horns, ram each other in competitions, etc. The horns were solid. So unlike some horns in animals that were sort of just for show, these seem pretty solid. They might even had longer keratin sheaths, so there are some depiction of them with very long horns. Their horns might also have been for display or courtship. And an interesting thing about this Carnotaurus is one of actually the fastest theropods, 30 to 35 miles per hour, fairly streamlined. And in its environment, it fed on large prey like sauropods. And given its diminutive hands, it voted most likely to lose an arm wrestling match with T-Rex, perhaps the only dinosaur to lose such a competition. Nice, nice, nice. Turns out with C, they were all theropods. And if you want image references, they are found in the description.
Wonderful. The letter C there got me tearing up there at the end. Powerful stuff. Until next time, go out into the Dakotas and search for some fossils while you wait for the letter D. But of course, whatever you find out there will likely involve bracing yourself for awesome.